You're listening to the Digital Deep Dive, where we tackle the newest trends, strategies, and pain points shaping growth across the digital landscape. From Amazon and D2C to international expansion, join our host and e-commerce leaders across multiple industries for in-depth discussions on how to maximize your brands in the digital arena. Now, here's your host, Aaron Conant.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Digital Deep Dive podcast. I'm your host, Aaron Conant, and today we're going to do a deep dive into content as a whole. A lot of questions I'm feeling around this topic right now. They need content at scale. I mean, we've done these with Max over at eContent around the Amazon piece, but still this need for high quality content and not always just straight up UGC, which was an easy lever for people to pull. But had a longtime friend, John Casey, for a long time. Many of you might know him. He was been around the e-commerce space and a lot in the image and content space for a while. And he connected me over to the team at the Desire Company. And so Eric Sheinkop is here today to kind of walk us through what they're seeing and kind of the business they've built in this space and how they're helping brands out, but also do a deep dive on overall trends and how can we get as much content as we need, but not pay through the nose for it over and over and over and over again, but have it be meaningful and content that actually converts. So anyways, I'll kind of pause there. I'll kick it over to you, Eric. I'd love to hear like a little bit of your background. That'd be great. Obviously, what you're doing now and what you're building, and then we'll just kind of get into a conversation. Sound good?
Beautiful. Yeah. Thank you very much for having me on too. I appreciate being here. But little bit about my background. I started in the music industry all my life. I was in the music industry, found the opportunity to partner independent musicians with brands, primarily for commercial use. And then we expanded to television and movies. It ended up becoming the largest company in the world to provide, largest provider of music to Disney, McDonald's, Coca-Cola, HBO, Viacom, CBS. We expanded internationally, and then I sold part of that company to Coca-Cola. I went internal. We did the activations at multiple Olympics, multiple World Cups. So really got a deep understanding of entertainment partnerships and what the real use was to connect with the consumer beyond the product being sold, become a part of their life, become meaningful in some way, whether it's just them having a conversation about your brand throughout the day with their friends, or relying more and more on your brand beyond, again, the product, so that it plays a meaningful role in their life. So
really quick, and music is the way to do that, though, right? How genius is that?
Yeah, music is emotion. I think anytime you see something visual on screen, music is supposed to connect the consumer to the emotion that's happening on screen.
Yeah, because none of us remember anything from our 5th grade history class.
Right.
But I remember Vanilla Ice. Yeah. Right. And his songs.
Yeah. You remember the jingles. I mean, there's science behind it as to why they're memorable, 3 notes, 5 notes, mnemonics. One of my favorite programs that we did was, it was called 52 Songs of Happiness. And we took the mnemonic from Coca-Cola, 5 notes, and I had 52 different artists from 52 different places around the world create 52 songs about what made them happy and inspired them about their hometown. And then we partnered with Spotify and we released 1 song every Friday of the year. And what ended up happening was people started looking forward to the new drop. It was like the coolest new artist in whatever country or whatever territory. They were always really good songs, but what was really almost, a little creepy about it is they were all Coke jingles, and they just sounded like pop songs, but they all had the Coke branding in it. So it made people subconsciously react a lot better when there was a regular Coke commercial with that mnemonic. So there's a lot of things that play there that were really interesting. I had 2 books published by Macmillan about entertainment marketing, connecting with your consumer beyond the product through music and in other ways. And then that brought me to create the Desire Company, which is where what we do now is we create content, video content for brands. But I wasn't able to work in music because I had a non-compete when I exited the company. And I found that, you know what, I know a lot of really interesting people behind the musicians. So I went to Beyonce's team and Rihanna's team and Pharrell and Pink, Lady Gaga. And instead of working with Lady Gaga, I got her, the first person that we partnered with was her dance choreographer, and, did some content with him for brands. And then we moved on to the physical therapist and the makeup artist and the hairstylist. And now the Desire Company has the largest community in the world of cross-disciplinary experts, literally anybody from veterinarians, podiatrists, optometrists, to makeup artists, to NASA astronauts. And we partner them with brands. We create content for bottom of the funnel. It's not influencer content. It's not awareness. It's supposed to live on the brand site, on the retailer site. And it's been proven to convert significantly higher. So it's
not UGC, because it seemed, as we kind of picked this apart, there's a lot of UGC influencers, micro influencers, affiliates, all this fun stuff. So it's not that piece.
Not at all. No, so everything we do, we bring them into the studio. It all looks like a television commercial, but it's built for commerce, specifically, scientifically built for lower funnel. And, that's the big thing with content. Everybody says, yeah, you need content, brands need content, retailers need content, and they don't really differentiate the types of content. And what needs to start happening is understanding what type of content is right for your shopper in various parts of that funnel, in various parts of the consumer journey. And, influencers play a solid role when it comes to awareness. UGC could actually help drive some traffic, create more intrigue. And then our content lives on the site. So once you get to the retailer, once you get to the brand site, our content is focused on educating the consumer on what the product is, what are the results that you could expect, how exactly it works, who it's recommended for. And what we found is by providing that third-party expert education at the point of sale, the conversions goes up through the roof, because instead of people jumping off and doing their third-party research, going on Google, looking at other reviews, finding competitive products, buying it from a different retailer, all the things that happen, putting it in their shopping cart and just abandoning it, we're getting in front of that by giving them the information that they need to feel confident in their purchase.
So are you finding different metrics than around conversion, right? Because we were chatting a little bit just before this around, you were saying, hey, how's it going? I was like, hey, it's like really crazy right now from the standpoint of people with teams being trimmed down, people being asked to do more. And yet they're going out trying to solve for all these different problems. One of them is content. The easiest lever to pull was UGC, right? Sure. Or influencers out there. The hard thing about that, especially for brands, either high profile brands, anybody of size, publicly traded companies, a lot of these, they can't use that, like you're saying, on site. Right. It's slightly off brand. There's, I don't want to say liability. It's not the right word, but maybe it is the right word.
There is. FTC put out all new laws, not recommendations, all new laws, October 20th, 2024, this past October. There are real laws against UGC, against influencer endorsements, and brands have to be incredibly careful right now. $53,000 per violation.
Wow.
No. So
I didn't know that. But I lived in the OTC pharma space.
Right.
And everything. We there's no way in the world any of that ever could have made it on the site. Yeah. It would have to gone through too many, regulatory affair people approval, legal approval, all that stuff. It just wasn't even the time, the internal man hours spent were not meant to be spent on that. They were, looking at new copy for, a new pharmaceutical we're launching.
No question about it. UGC, influencer, it's an endless hunger that brands have for it, because it disappears in 24 hours, right? Like, I've seen so many contracts where it's, okay, you will post this and it will be on your story for 24 hours, and it has to be on your main grid for 3 days. So you just need more and more and more and more. But getting the right high quality content that's evergreen, then it lives on your site. It's FTC compliant. And And we do work in the pharma space, which is incredibly difficult, as you very well know. All the regulations that need to go into there. And not only can they not use influencers because it's not on brand, and it's honestly, most of it is low quality content. So these brands are spending millions, retailers, hundreds of millions on their site experience. So they don't want to flood it with garbage. And so giving them, one or two or three pieces of content that actually help inform rather than focusing on influencing, or really inform your consumer, that's better for the pharma world, but it also works across all industries.
Yeah, didn't Amazon just like deprecate that part where they had all their a bunch of UGC content trying to promote, but it wasn't driving any kind of increased conversion whatsoever. It was just kind of a pain, I think, for Amazon to maintain and keep filling with new content.
Yeah, Amazon put something out that said if you have 4 videos on your site, you get a 40% reduction in return. But again, for videos, what type of videos? It's not all videos are created equal. They are far from it. So, that brings us back to, how we started this company, and it's all based on neuroscience and understanding what the consumer needs at the point of sale. What are really the touch points that they need to feel are answered. And so you were asking about metrics. What we're able to show is a 300% boost in purchase confidence, 62% more time spent on site, a 5 to 12x conversion increase. And that is, the disparity between those numbers is really based on category. Anything with an on-off button, anything that you plug in, you're going to get more conversion with educational videos because people are going to truly understand the product. And then a reduction in returns, 25% higher average order value as well, because people are buying the original product versus the knockoff product because they feel that much more comfortable and confident that the original product is what they're actually looking for.
So I love it. I love it we're getting into, I would say we're almost like 3.0, content 3.0, which is what I'm hearing from you is the UGC, the influencers, all that traffic, all that content is fantastic. Liability now, and like you're saying on those laws, which I didn't know about. So thanks for that, for sure. Yeah. That now we need content, and everybody talks about conversion. Everybody talks about the content that's on there. We have lots of like webinars, even done podcasts around, Amazon, detail page and the content that's on there to convert. But video is huge. But what you're saying is if it's the right high content or high context, educational, and I'm throwing some stuff in there, on brand. Now, the question that comes next is then like cost as a whole, or where does it source? I mean, you do this. Where's it traditionally being sourced from, and what is the breakdown for like brands that are listening? Like, hey, I've got my current, agency that's doing it, for me today. Is there? I'd love to hear a little bit more, because I think I totally agree with where you're at and what you're saying. Like, this is the next evolution. Has to be able to be done at scale and cost effectively. And one other thing that I want to talk about, are you able to break these pieces apart? Because that's the other thing where I need on-brand content for multiple different platforms now, but it needs to be a cohesive brand story so people don't get lost in the mix. So. Got so many questions for you. This is awesome.
No, that's great. You just touched on everything. When we do a video for a brand or any product, it's not like you're just getting the video. You're getting this expert content, and then we do provide 10 different versions. So and the hero content is your PDP content. But we do give you the edits, both time, sizes, everything of that nature for all social, from TikTok to Pinterest to programmatic YouTube bumpers, whatever it is. You're getting all of those assets because, exactly to your point, you need to tell an on-brand cohesive story throughout that customer journey, and bringing them in that way with that cohesive element of storytelling, it makes a massive difference. Cost-wise, where the budget comes from, we started working with brands, and then brands were putting it on Target.com and BestBuy.com and Walmart.com. And all of a sudden the retailers started realizing, hey, we should be the ones offering this. So we launched with Best Buy with their retail media network 3.5 years ago. And they were our first retail media network. And it's been incredible. So they sell our services to the brands that they carry. We are now live with Tractor Supply and a number of really big retailers who are trying to enhance the offering that they bring to the brands through their retail media network. And what's been really nice to see is like certain brands that we've worked with through Best Buy, they've taken our content and introduced us to Target or other retailers and said, I really wish you guys were using this company because I would like my spend to go towards some of these videos. Now, becoming a package as table stakes for any new launch, that's the most beautiful thing and way that we could operate. Because the brand is already committing money to a retailer and then our package is included in that. But we also do work with the brands directly. And again, the cost is more expensive up front, but it ends up being a lot less because you're getting this evergreen content that continuously works across multiple channels versus UGC, which constantly needs to be refreshed and you need people to manage that and check to make sure it's on brand and that it's not liable and you never know what you're going to get. This is a consistency that brands really appreciate.
So where does it come from then? Like, how is it that high quality? Because that's what I keep going back to is it has to be on brand and high quality. And you were mentioning that in tying back to the beginning, we were saying, hey, so it might not have been the artist, but it might have been the makeup artist for the artist or, whoever that is.
Yeah.
Is that who you're like bringing in? Is it like an infomercial? Like,
so people do consider it like a new age, cool, fun, entertaining infomercial, but it works and it's based in real life because anybody who we have review a product or talk about a product or show how to use it, they've had to use it for several weeks in real life scenarios. So I'll give you a perfect example. Like Carousel is one of our clients. And they came with a number of different products, but one of them is foot fungus. And they're like, okay, well, obviously we need a podiatrist, to talk about foot fungus. Cool. We got them the podiatrist. That's the white lab coat that's making people confident in the science. But then what we provided was an expert to talk about foot fungus, who is an Olympic runner, and she is now an Olympic coach. So she was Gabby Thomas's coach. So Gabby Thomas won 3 gold medals for the U.S. in this past Olympics in running. And we had her coach during the Olympics talking about how if you are a real runner, you will get foot fungus. If you really take your craft seriously as a runner and you're out there every day, it's going to happen. And this is the product that I like using to, reduce the time that it takes for healing. Here's how to use it. Here are the results that you could expect. And pairing the scientist, the doctor, the podiatrist with the track coach, Olympic track coach, sales went through the roof. We initially made that content just for Amazon Prime Day. And it did so well that the brand Carousel Advantis Health actually started running it on connected TV. So then our content was running all over connected television, driving traffic, driving sales. So the way that we keep it all high quality is we do it all in-house. And it sounds super expensive and not scalable, but it is. It's what I've been doing. Production is what I've been doing all my life. And we have a really good system. We shoot all over the country and we're shooting every single day for different brands, for different retailers, and we produce television quality content. One of our clients, they were so impressed with the content, they're actually running it right now as television commercials. So, and it's what we made for their PDP. It's what we make for everybody's PDP, but it can be used as television commercials. But because we're filming every day and we bring in all of these experts, we're able to do a ton of content every day, and it ends up being very cost affordable for the brands.
So is it direct to consumer? Is it, it's video, you use it anywhere. Are you then saying, hey, this is the perfect one for Amazon, for Walmart, for your direct to consumer site, for Target, for, I don't know, like Meta, and all these different types of ad types?
Yes. However, we're not changing the professional in the video. We're changing the edits of the video for the different formats. But if it's bought through a retail media network, it's exclusive to that retailer.
Okay.
When our video is bought through Best Buy, we cannot put that video or do the same expert with that product for Target or for Sam's Club or anybody of that nature. That's where different experts with the different products come into the fold. But our community it's 150 plus different category experts, photographers, but whatever it might be. But we're not always pairing you with the obvious. Like if it's makeup, we're not just giving you a professional makeup artist. We would recommend a yoga instructor who's teaching in a hot yoga studio all day. And they say, when I get out and I'm ready to go out for the night, my skin is blotchy, it's hot, it's been sweating all day. I love this makeup because it actually tones everything. It gives me what I need from a moisturizing perspective, as well as the makeup that I've been looking for, whatever it might be. It's always that unexpected expert validation and use case of a product that is truly what moves the needle.
So then so you're partnering with retailers, obviously brands. Are you like, I'm trying to think, like, so there's a company called like Flow Code, right? So they'll put a QR code. So it'll drive to an actual landing page if it's on a streaming TV ad. For the streaming TV ad standpoint, we've had like Adam Epstein on, who is building Gigi, which is a streaming TV platform for Amazon STV. Cool. Are you connecting with all these? Like, I'm more than happy to connect you. I think what you're doing is awesome. And me coming from a highly regulated industry, it's what I would need on my direct-to-consumer site around my Amazon pages. Sure. That it's just hard to find or incredibly expensive.
Sure. I would. I mean, first of all, I'm always love connecting with people in the industry, especially doing these innovative new things. But yeah, QR codes, when we deliver, we have our platform, it's called Expert Connect. And when we deliver content, as I mentioned, like one SKU, you're going to get 10 different assets for that video assets, but it also generates the codes to use it on your Amazon pages. Your personal PDP's email is a huge one, especially post-purchase. And being able to provide the code that doesn't slow down load time in an email is essential with video. Like, that's the biggest problem with video. But when somebody buys a product and then they get an email that says, congratulations, here's how to use the product that you just bought, you're going to see a massive reduction in returns. And then it also generates QR codes that are shoppable, interactive. That being said, we are more than happy to provide that content to work on anybody's platform, or they could host it, we could host it. Doesn't matter to us. We love seeing the data. So as long as we'll collect the analytics if you're using our hosting, but if you use your own hosting, the only thing that we want is, we know we increase sales. We know we increase conversions. I just want more and more data to keep telling that story.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. I mean, I've been picking your brain for a while. Like, you have any questions for me?
Yeah. So I know it's wild and it's the Wild West. And I love what you said right now, that it is more chaotic since the pandemic. And my question, is that purely AI? Is that because people jumped too fast at the technologies that when they were coming out of the pandemic, and they're now having to clean up their systems and get off of other people's managed services? Like, I know there's grocery stores that are completely dependent on Instacart to run their entire e-commerce. And now they're like, what are we doing? How did we get in this situation? And how do we get out of the situation? What are you seeing that makes it more as crazy as it is right now?
Yeah, I think it was that FOMO that hit, a year into the pandemic. And that was combined with, there was a massive increase in the amount of tech that was out there. And at that point in time, everybody's like, oh, look at AI, machine learning, but it really wasn't. It was all the Mechanical Turk, right? It was all, they pretended, right? The info would go in, it would go overseas, hands on keyboards overnight, and would show up as an answer in the morning. Mm-hmm. And so those weren't scalable. And so there was a lot of new tech that popped up that was using that was getting funding. And a couple of things happened with that is it muddied the waters, where who was really out there doing it legitimately. And there wasn't a lot of AI and ML really executing at that time. So it wasn't scalable without getting really expensive, which we know now that profitability is the number one conversation I'm having with brands. They're like, hey, I'll say, hey, what is it? What are you trying to solve for? Like, how can I help you out? And they'll say profitability. And I'm like, okay, we can go 18 different ways with this. So as those things scaled and they got intertwined and everybody signed up for everything, yes, they had very, very bloated tech stacks across the board. And then what started happening was a lot of those businesses went under because they weren't sustainable and it wasn't real AI or ML. The other ones that were growing, they were growing, but they cost a lot of money, which again, from the profitability standpoint, people just can't keep around. And the next thing that came on was you had these platforms that had been designed and they were rules-based platforms. So it's kind of like a fake AI. But you could, hey, if this solve for this outcome, use these rules to get to an outcome. And what can happen with AI and ML, a lot of tech right now, is getting put on top of that. And the issue with that is you're solving for an issue using rules, not just solving for the issue the best way possible. And so you have this new level. So we have a bunch of people who went under because they weren't AI ML at all, didn't look like it at all. Now we have this rules base that were good, but they're trying to put AI on top. And then the next phase that's hitting right now is true AI ML at its core. And so people are trying to unwind this mass, evaluate how good this one's running for right now. And at the same time, and then this is not cost effective. And then now we've got AI and ML, which is really cheap. But again, very early on, people don't trust this for image generation right now, right? Lots to do with text, but imagery, it's hard for people to wrap their head around. So they're hoping for that in the end. And at the same time, there was a lot of workforce reductions at the end of last year. People just don't have time. They just don't have time. So that's a lot of the chaos that's out there right now.
And what do you think about the one area that I'm fascinated in is the AI influencer. And it used to be a novelty, and now you're seeing it more and more, and people bragging about how, like, yeah, check out this commercial. There's nothing real in it. The person isn't real. The voice isn't real. And I know when you think about your background in pharmaceutical, like that's probably got to be one of the scariest things that you could.
You hit the adjective. Scary.
Yeah. But what about everyday regular brands, D2C brands? Do you think that they actually will be replacing influencers? And the reason why I say that is people went to influencers because of the reach, but the algorithm is now suppressing reach unless you pay. So if you're going to pay, why work with an influencer if you could just create your own that does it on your timeline and says exactly what you say? What do you think about that trend?
I think it will continue. The algorithm, right, is what you have to cater to. You have to cater to it. And what's if you think about how far we've come just since ChatGPT was launched and the uptake of that and Perplexity, it's crazy. Like I use ChatGPT, plan vacations, like I use it all the time. It's replacing Google. And so what I think is going to happen, obviously it'll lag behind AI just a little bit, but you're going to get these really smart, like people that like to try new things. And you're going to see this skyrocketing of brands, and people are going to scratch their head and say, how did they ever do it?
Yeah.
They're going to be using these AI influencers. It's almost like a gamification until somehow if somebody comes in and cracks down and says, hey, none of this is real. We need to pull it back. Until that happens, I think people will start using it. It's too easy to do. It's too easy to do.
It's too easy. It's too cheap. It's quick. But it's got a long way to go. But you said something that, like, it makes my stomach churn every time I hear it, although you're absolutely right, is you have to obey the algorithm. And what upsets me is when brands are thinking about what's best for the algorithm rather than what's best for the customer and what's best for the shopping experience. And making content for the algorithm versus, for your customer. However, I think the thing that scares me is every single retailer is creating AI shopping bots and help and systems. And then ChatGPT is creating your personalized shopper. So at what point is it just going to be AI talking to AI and the consumer is completely out of the equation of retail?
Yeah. So think about it I want to get back to that point. I want to capture one thing that Amazon does really well. It's something that I was really intrigued when John, Casey was saying, hey, you need to talk to Eric over here. Was that we just did a webinar yesterday around Amazon content optimization. You can use it for Walmart. And one thing is there's two parts to it. First, you're getting traffic based on the algorithm to the site. So there's everything you have to play that. But then it's all around conversion and what content is converting. So where there's been the breakdown is they've been driving lots and lots and lots of traffic, influencers, affiliates, whatever it might be to the page. But if the content there on the page is not good to convert, it's actually not great. If people are laying on the page and not converting, Amazon's like, oh, this isn't a right match. And it starts deprecating it and pushing it down the spiral and below the fold. And so I love what you're doing in that space, which is I'm going to help you convert on site. Like, there's all this other traffic that's going to get it there, but let me help you convert once the traffic. You're spending more money than ever to get people here, wherever it is, direct to consumer, Walmart, Target, Home Depot, Amazon. You've got people there. Let's convert.
Yes.
So then we go to the next part where you're talking about like AI and personal shopping assistants. Like we're a year away, is my guess, with the rollout of the Apple updates, the Android. Like it's going to be interesting to see how Amazon plays out in the whole thing. Because right now I go to Amazon a ton. Why? Man, I got 4 kids. We buy a lot of stuff. I don't have time to do all this shopping. I'm just going to go to Amazon and buy what I need. I trust it. Probably got a good price. Even if it's not the best price now.
Yeah.
It don't matter to me. Like if I don't save $1 or $2, I'm not shopping around or spending time to save $1.
Sure.
But what happens when I just ask Siri to go get more paper towel? She don't care where she goes.
Right. Exactly. That's exactly right.
And then it's just going to go, talk to maybe it talks to Rufus, right? Maybe it talks to Walmart. It's like,
but they're not going to have favorites. They're not going to enjoy, they're not going to do it because, they're going to scan the internet. And who cares if they buy from here. It's the same amount of time for me as a shopper if I just send them off to do that task. And I think that loyalty is going to completely disappear if consumers are no longer the one that the retail ecosystem is built for.
Yeah. And there's going to, obviously you're buying an engagement ring. I'm buying a gift for my wife or, my parents. There's going to be that, but most ways to spend my money on is everyday items, right?
Yep. Yeah. No, it's a really, really wild thought. And the way that I actually think about the evolution is what I saw happen in the music industry is that when I was younger, I used to go and buy a CD. By the time I was, out of college, it was only a singles market. And if anybody was going to buy anything, because all of a sudden you had Napster and it was free.
Yeah.
And now with my kids, but I still, even with a single or getting it from Napster, I still knew the artist. I still knew the name of the song. Now my kids, they only know the hook of a song because that's the time that it's on TikTok. So they learn these songs only by the hook. They don't know the artist and they don't know the rest of the song. So I took them to Lollapalooza and all of a sudden they'll hear the hook and they're like, oh, I know this song. They didn't think they knew the artist. They didn't think they knew the song. They have to hear the hook. And so there's zero loyalty to an artist. And I think the same danger is what brands are facing right now is that there's going to be absolute zero loyalty if you really only build for the algorithm. But it's what you have to do. So I don't know the answer there.
Yeah. What's funny is, are we perpetuating the advancement of AI and the implementation of it? It's like a self-feeding thing right now, right? Like I think everybody agrees, like we should probably slow it down a little bit. But everybody's in like, I need to dance, with the algorithm, right?
Yep.
Like that's what I have to do, and I got to learn the dance moves, dance with it.
Yep.
And it's just speeding up.
No, there's no putting the genie back in the bottle. I don't think it's ever been more true. And the speed of advancement, to your point, ChatGPT came out, it was offering awesome reference tool. Now it's 20 years advanced in the last year.
I use it almost every day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Almost every day.
My whole family does it. And I tell our employees, like, look, if you're not using AI, if you're not using ChatGPT, you're not getting enough done. Like you could get so much more done if you utilize it to help you achieve your task.
Yes. So crazy. Well, this has been a super fun conversation.
Yeah, very cool.
We should do another one. We'll do a follow-up for sure.
Nice.
Because I think we should probably do a whole one on the season of life that you were in the music industry. That sounds pretty cool. But again, Eric, thanks so much for your time today. It's been a great conversation. I'm sure we'll have you back on. Where do people find you as a whole?
Yeah. So the Desire Company, that's, thedesirecompany.com. We actually have a whole white paper on the FTC new regulations that came out this past October with the leading lawyer from the FTC who cited the most in the FTC. So talks about the what's going on there. We've got a great podcast out with a bunch of retail industry leaders. It's called Tap Into an Expert, wherever you get your podcasts. And then Eric Sheinkop on LinkedIn, Sheinkop. But
awesome.
I appreciate you having me on. It's been great.
Absolutely, my friend. This has been awesome. With that, we're going to wrap up this episode of the Digital Deep Dive. Thanks, everybody, for listening in.